Boston Bruins trade talks have started to heat up once again after an absolutely insane report from Elliotte Friedman revealing that the New York Rangers are shopping some of their top players. There's one player who the Boston Bruins are going to have an eye on and have had one in the past. We're going to be talking about who this is and why this trade could potentially go down and why the Rangers are shopping who they are. We're going to be talking about all of that in this video. Now, before we do, we know that 75% of you guys watching right now are not subscribed to the channel. If you're looking for a spot to get all of your Boston Bruins news, you're in the right spot. Hit the sub button. Join me here on the channel. We're covering everything Boston Bruins and especially waiting for things just like this. A massive report that we need to get right away into. And this comes out from Elliotte Friedman, of course, a recent tweet revealing that a big loss for the New York Rangers have put them into a massive trade market for a lot of teams, and including the Boston Bruins. And we'll pull up that screenshot here right now from Elliotte Friedman. In the aftermath of their 6-2 loss in Edmonton on Saturday, the Rangers have made it very clear they're interested in making moves and shaking up the roster. Among the names indicated are Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba, although other options will be considered. Now, the hockey world went absolutely nuclear after this tweet came out, rightfully so. No, the captain of the New York Rangers, Jacob Trouba, and Chris Kreider, longtime, franchise legend status at this point, both on the trading block, and names that have been discussed and mentioned by the New York Rangers. Now, Chris Kreider being the one that we're talking about here today, as he was formerly a Bruins target from Massachusetts, kind of fits every block of becoming a Boston Bruin at some point in his career, and could the time be now? That's what we're going to be taking a look at. We know the Bruins have not really had the most ideal start to the season, although the firing of Jim Montgomery, the beginning of Joe Sacco's tenure with the Bruins, things have started to heat up, and things are starting to look good with the few wins in the past few games, but that is still not meaning the Bruins are out of the clear. They still need to get better to be able to at least make the playoffs this season, which is a point where I never thought we'd say it. We're not sure we're going to get there yet, so a Chris Kreider addition would be most ideal for the Boston Bruins. And looking at this from the Hockey News, it's no secret that GM Don Sweeney likes Chris Kreider as a player. The Bruins were heavily linked to him during the 2019-2020 season before he signed an extension with the Rangers in February 2020. With the Bruins having a clear hole in their top six, could Sweeney end up having the Boxford, Massachusetts native on his radar again? If so, it would be understandable if so. And that hole in the top six that was discussed in this article is one that we've been discussing since before the season even started. We've mentioned that there's a hole on the right side, there's a hole on the wing, or a hole in the middle, somewhere in the top six, that needs to be filled by an elite talent. And we went out, got Elias Lindholm, got Zadorov, but those were not really the finishing pieces for the season. It almost felt like the Bruins offseason got kind of left empty, and Zadorov would almost fill that gap Chris Kreider would fill that gap to a T. And we've noticed that Chris Kreider has really not been as good as he has in previous years this season, knowing that, obviously getting older, with a team that has been struggling a tiny bit here. As you can see with Chris Kreider's stats, 19 games, 9 goals, 0 assists. Very interesting stat line for a guy like Chris Kreider, though, who we know is a goal scorer, but someone with no assists like that is definitely very odd and can show that there is a bit of stuff missing for the New York Rangers here. But Chris Kreider being on this market, being open to be traded, and having what is, full first line minutes still, playing on the left side of the Rangers' second line, and going on 34, he still has a lot to play with, and he still has a lot of gas left in the tank. And we know, as I mentioned, he's not as good as he was this year in the previous seasons, and all that, but that's going to do with age. That's just a whole different team. We've seen it with Bruins players this year, so I really don't think that's anything to be concerned about. But looking at his cap hit, 6.5 for 3 more years. This is the 5th year out of 7, and going on 36, going on 37 when he does expire in this contract. This is still definitely a hefty price for a guy like Chris Kreider, although it's one that really could pay out if the big gamble. We know Chris Kreider has been able to be worth $6.5 million. His previous stats over the past years have been phenomenal. 50 goals, 30 goals in the previous 2, I believe, and we will get to his stats in a moment over the last 3 seasons. But looking at what he is now compared to where he is and where he was, I think that Chris Kreider still could pull off those numbers, just not at such a high amount, not as consistent as he did in previous seasons. But he's still one of the fastest players in the NHL, and a big part of his absence for this Rangers team would be massive. We've seen Rangers community, Rangers fans absolutely hating the idea of trading Chris Kreider, and rightfully so. This would be kind of ideal, not ideal, kind of in the same boat as trading a Brad Marchand or a David Pastrnak a couple years ago. Really someone that has been in the roster so long, and someone who's been such a big piece of the franchise's success the past few seasons, and then kind of just letting go of him because that they're struggling a little bit. But even going into that and going further into what we're looking at his stats, over you see, as I mentioned, the 52 goals, 25 assists, and 77 points in 81 games in 21-22, 36-18, a bit of a slower year there in 22-23, but back up to 39 and 36 last season with the Rangers. And we really saw how good he was last year, even at his age. And of course, this season, as I showed earlier, 9 goals, 19 games, and 0 assists on the season. But you place him in to really any spot on this Boston Bruins lineup, and I think we find quite a bit of success there. And I will put the lines, pull up these here now, kind of just talk about what we're seeing, what we're looking at, what we could actually see with Chris Kreider in this lineup. Now, the big gap that we obviously see on the first top 6 is Justin Brazeau. We have Morgan Geekie there at the beginning of the season. Morgan Geekie, very, very slow to start, but starting to heat up again now, looking like he could potentially stay on this first line if things do continue to progress in the right direction and still continue to stay hot. But Justin Brazeau, as much as I love him, and you guys know how much I love Justin Brazeau, I don't know if he's a top 6 winger just yet. Obviously, he hasn't had too much NHL experience. He's a bit of an older player to come in at the league, at this point in his career, but there still is a lot of potential in him. I think that he could be a very good middle 6 forward, just not at this very moment. I still think that he should be a 3rd to 4th liner. Then we do have Charlie Coyle, Trent Frederic, Tyler Johnson, Beecher, Kaslik, and Cole Koepke. That line's starting to slow down as well, but still a lot of positive coming out of this team over the past few games. And I think that, once again, that top 6 hole would absolutely be filled by Chris Kreider. Now, what are the odds that the Rangers end up trading Chris Kreider? And I think that you will have to pay quite a bit, but it all depends on if the Rangers are really looking to get rid of him or if they're just trying to put his name out there. I think there's a big difference in those two, a big difference in whether the Rangers are actively shopping him or whether the Rangers are putting his name out there to see what they can get. Because if they're actively shopping Chris Kreider, his price will be significantly cheaper than what it would be if he were going out into the season and just being put his name out there, I guess, is a good way of putting it. But it will all depend on what the Rangers are doing. Because as I mentioned from the original tweet from Elliotte Friedman, which I will pull up once again very quick here, the Edmonton Oilers, beating them on Sunday, the Rangers have made it very clear they are interested in making moves and shaking up the roster. Now, the fact that we're seeing this and the way it looks from our standpoint, at least with this tweet from Elliotte Friedman, it looks like they're actively shopping Chris Kreider. So does that mean the price could be as low as what some people are thinking? It would really still all depend, but it does seem like it, and this could be a big move for the Boston Bruins. But I do have a tweet here from Michael Sullivan as well, kind of breaking down what every Bruins fan was thinking of when we seen this tweet. And it says, Chris Kreider would fit on this Boston Bruins team like a glove. 6.5 AAV through 27-28 is a bit risky, but his style of play would fit him perfectly. A born leader, a king of the greasy goals, and in the modern-day power forward this team is missing. I don't know, just a thought. But, even before this tweet came out, even before any of the reactions from people coming out, as soon as I seen Elliotte Friedman tweet this, I immediately thought how good he would fit to our team. How good of a fit that he would be, missing that big power forward. We have some power forwards, but they're just not using their size. Zadorov's on that side, but he is a defenseman, of course. But a guy like Justin Brazeau, don't use his size. He's not as fast as Chris Kreider. Chris Kreider has multiple 50-goal seasons, and he has a resume in the NHL. I think that's a big thing a lot of these Boston Bruins players are missing. So, ultimately, I want to see more into this. I want to see bigger reports. I want to see more come out about the Rangers trading Chris Kreider. I want to see the Boston Bruins in it. And if Don Sweeney wants to save his job, this is the move that you have to make. This is the move that you have to go out and push for. And I know the Boston Bruins may be trying to tank this season at this point. I still think it's very early. They have their first round pick, They have a lot of pieces that they could trade to make this team better. And we've been looking at Don Sweeney trying to move a few pieces to make this team better. Whether or not those are the perfect pieces for the Rangers is yet to be seen. But it does seem like to me the Rangers are trying to buy now. We have a lot of players that we can sell for buy now teams. And this could be a great option for Chris Kreider. So let me know what you think about this. Obviously, a lot of speculation here, of course, but we still have a lot of reports from Elliotte Friedman that are going to come out over the next few days as we see this kind of progress, as we see the Rangers' next few games kind of feel it out process, and we're going to see what Chris Kreider's kind of reaction is on the ice to this as well. I think that's going to be a big part. If they say he's going to be traded, they're not going to shop him, he may ask out, and it really would kind of mess up every part of the Rangers' plan. But like I said, let me know what you think. A major report that I'm very excited to see the Bruins kind of get their name into, but like I said, let me know what you think. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy the video, give it a like, hit the sub button as well. But I'm signing out. Have a great day. See you later.